So it's interesting that the totalitarian government of the United States. What do you mean, hamster? What do you mean? Well, I could come up with some examples. I could. Government forcing you to do something with your body that you don't want to do. I thought the fembots were all about that. Weren't they? You can't force me to do with, and what are we seeing here? An executive order. President Joe Biden thinks he can just tell people what to do regardless of the constitutional process. Now, can anyone imagine, if you would, Donald Trump doing the same thing? Do you think there'd be a fucking blizzard, a tsunami of lawsuits against President? Wait a minute, there were. Joe Biden, no problem. No problem. He's doing what we think we should do. So why is he doing it? Why? It's a really interesting question, isn't it? But I can tell you right now, people, if I don't get a shot by December 8th, 2021, I will be fired. Doesn't sound like a choice. I thought Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, or the president and the vice president, said this was not going to happen 6 months ago, 9 months ago. No, that's never, come on. This is America. And what happens 9 months later? Well, here we are. Oh, is there a live stream? Zombro, put it in the chat if you would. I'm just bitching here. So, go to the MGTOW Cowboy, please. Go there. Much more interesting. And so what we have here is a single branch of the government in the United States ordering that the country follows his whim. Now, excuse me, you might say to yourself, and you're Australia, put shrimps on. Don't you have that damn constitution over there? Yes, we do. If President Biden wants to mandate such a thing for the people in this country, you know what? He can run it through Congress. Congress can pass a law. And then when they pass that law, well, the president can sign it. No. Why is that? Anyone? Bueller? Hello, SE. Why? Because it wouldn't pass. See? We have a constitution in this country. We have a method of doing things legally, according to the Constitution of the United States. Yet Joe Biden and his ilk, they don't like that because they don't always get their way. I say again, friends, if Donald Trump or any other Republican president did the same exact fucking thing, do you think the media would be all for this? Do you? You think academia, Hollywood, oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. Fuck no. This is politics. This is the government expanding their control over you. Craig Furness, why did you leave? Mr. Fornax, what the hell's going on here? Oh, sorry. Well, at least SC is still here. And Polska Bob, hello. So, what do you say? And Red's here, who claims he's a dude. I think it's my friend BC, but okay, whatever. The government is telling you what to do with your body. Where are the fucking feminists? Now, let's just go crazy here a little bit and kind of expand our brains. Hey, Red, be gay all day. I don't care. Good for you. Good luck. Get the hot ones. I love those abs. You know, if I were gay, I'd be going for the abs and the tall guys. So that's it. El Macho, La Macho. Hello. Let's see. Where's Red? I'm gay. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you told me that the other day. I don't care if you're gay. Who gives a shit? You're human, and you're being forced to do things with your body that you might not choose to do. Now, let's just look at the fembots. Eric Zombro has a good point. Remember that before the election? Yes. Who was president? See, the hatred of this man is beyond, almost beyond my comprehension. Donald Trump was a freaking Democrat, people. He's evil, and he's a... No, he did most of the things you'd want anyway, just not far enough, right? So tell me, feminists, fembots, do you want the government to be able to tell you what to do with your body? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? Well, that's a big thing, isn't it? No, you can't tell me what to do with my body, really. What about today? Oh, it's different, is it? What happens when Joe Biden tells you you have to do a certain thing with your body that you might not like? By executive order. What happens? What happens then? Yeah, I haven't thought about that, huh? Well, he's forcing you by, well, I think legal law, but law nonetheless, to do something with your body you might not want to do. So tell me, ladies in particular, if Joe Biden, just like Joseph Stalin, declared that abortion was illegal in the Soviet Union, 1935, look it up, by the stroke of his pen. What happens if Joe Biden comes in and says, you know what, we're not having enough babies here in the United States, so abortion's legal. So it's birth control. You're going to be fucking happy about that? Are you? Is that going to be a good thing just because Uncle Joe wants it? Really? Ladies, are you sure? Contemplate that. Are you sure you want someone like Joe Biden or, God forbid, Donald Trump or whomever in the future to tell you what you can do with your body? Isn't that what we hear all the time? Maybe I missed something. Isn't that what we hear all the time? Yes? Or what, if Red here is a gay guy, that's cool. What if the government tells you, Joe Biden comes out with an executive order? Excuse me, Red, you can't have a relationship with another dude because I thus decree it. Nobody's going to live with that. And I wouldn't either. That would be bullshit. But yet here we are, the Karens in their blue diapers. God damn it, if you don't do this, you're going to... And now, executive order. from the Biden administration. You shall do thus and such, and fuck you. Well, how's that feel? How about that? Now, any president, Donald Trump included, that could sit here and think they can fucking tell us via fiat what they think should happen. That is fucking tyranny. Nobody wants that. Look, fembots, MGTOW, everybody, we're not behind that. That's tyrannical. Just like you've said for decades, right? The women. You can't tell me what to do. Okay, fine. Don't. We're not going to do that. Yet here you are for the most part. Wow. But if Joe fucking Biden says it, we're going to do that. Really? Well, excuse me, Hams. It's not really the government saying that. It's just the businesses that do business with the government. Really? You mean like every business? Excuse me. Are you fucking awake? Yeah. Right. You wonder why, however, that, I don't know, those people that are leading us, Congress, President, they are not required. Well, isn't that fucking convenient? Ain't it? Seems to me that if everyone's got to get the jab, no, it's just for you rubes. For your lower class losers. How does this make you feel, ladies? Tomorrow, Joe Biden can issue an executive order that you cannot have an abortion or birth control. What about that? Well, he's never going to do that. Really? You're setting a precedent, people. Ladies. If a president can get away with this, you don't even want to fucking know what's coming in the future. What about Red? Gay man. You can't have sex with another dude. Executive order. No, but that's bullshit. But yet here we are with the Karens and the lefts and the AOCs and everybody. He's fucking brave. When 6-9 months ago, if Donald Trump said the same thing, can you even imagine? All right. I have one beer left. Let's read some Brave New World. Now, I don't know if you guys read Aldous Huxley here. By the way, you know that song by Sheryl Crow? I was born in December 1963, the day Aldous Huxley died. Yeah. It was November 23rd. It was the same thing. Okay. Aldous Huxley, Brave New World. Chapter 1. A squat gray building of only 34 stories. Over the main entrance, the words Central London Hatchery and Conditioning Center. And in a shield, the world's state motto, community, identity, stability. Let me stop here. Aldous Huxley was a fanatical eugenicist. He wanted to eliminate the, inconvenient populations through birth control and through, whatever means. Aldous Huxley came around and said, this is fucked up. And thus, chapter 1, Brave New World. The enormous room on the ground floor faced toward the north. Cold for all the summer beyond the panes, for all the tropical heat of the room itself. A harsh, thin light glared through the windows, hungrily seeking some draped lay figure, some pallid shape of academic goose flesh, but finding only the glass and nickel and bleakly shining porcelain of a laboratory. Winteriness responded to winteriness. The overalls of the workers were white. Their hand, I mean, obviously, he's an R person. Well, I'm right. Couldn't we have overalls of other colors? Oh my God. You can see this, right? Okay, I'm just an aside, kidding. Their hands gloved with a pale corpse-colored rubber. The light was frozen dead, a ghost. Only from the yellow barrels of the microscopes did it borrow a certain rich, living substance. Lying along the polished tubes like butter, streak after luscious streak, in long recession down the work tables. Quote, and this, said the director, opening the door, is the fertilization, Jesus. Hamster, can you read? Is the fertilizing room. Bent over their instruments, 300 fertilizers were plunged as the director of hatcheries and conditioning entered the room. In the scarcely breathing silence, the absent-minded soliloquizing, what the hell is that word? Nice, Aldous, great. Soliloquizing hum or whistle of absorbed concentration. A troop of newly arrived students, very young, pink and callow, followed nervously, rather abjectly, at the director's heels. Each of them carried a notebook in which, whenever the great man spoke, he desperately scribbled. Straight from the horse's mouth, it was a rare privilege. The DHC for Central London always made a point of personally conducting his new students around the various departments. See, this is what happens when you don't practice. I'm reading it raw, boys. I'm going in. Quote, just to give you a general idea, he would explain to them. For, of course, some sort of general idea they must have if they were to do their work intelligently. Though as little of one, if they were to be good and happy members of society as possible. For particulars, as everyone knows, make for virtue and happiness. Generalities are intellectually necessary evils. Not philosophers, but fret sawyers. Don't know what that is, but sounds good. And stamp collectors compose the backbone of society. Tomorrow, he would add, smiling at them with a slightly menacing geniality, you'll be settling down to serious work. You won't have time for generalities. Meanwhile, it was a privilege. Straight from the horse's mouth into the notebook. The boys scribbled like mad. Tall and rather thin but upright, the director advanced into the room. He had a long chin and rather prominent teeth just covered, when he was not talking, by his full, floridly curved lips. Old, young, 30, 50, 55? It was hard to say. And anyhow, the question didn't arise in this year of stability, the year of our Lord Ford, 632. It didn't occur to you to ask it. Quote, I shall begin at the beginning. I shall begin at the beginning, said the DHC and the more zealous students. recorded his intention in their notebooks. Begin at the beginning. These, he waved his hands, are the incubators. And opening an insulated door, he showed them racks upon racks of numbered test tubes. Quote, the weak supply of ova kept at blood heat, whereas the male gametes, and here he opened another door. They had to be kept at 35 instead of 37. Full blood heat sterilizes. Rams wrapped in theramagene beget no lamb. Okay, well, let me take a hit from my toking tool here. I should edit this. This is pretty good so far. Still leaning against the incubators he gave them while the pencils scurried illegibly across the pages, a brief description of the modern fertilization process. Spoke first, of course, of its surgical introduction. The operation undergone voluntarily for the good of society. Let's think about that for a minute. For the good of society, for the health of society, we must do these things. What did that German guy say? For the good of society. Not to mention the fact that it carries a bonus amounting to 6 months' salary. Continue with some account of the technique for preserving the excised ovary alive and actively developing, passed on to a consideration of optimum temperature, salinity, viscosity, referring to the liquor in which the Jesus Christ. I don't have the book in front of me, but I remember reading this. Oh my God. Referring to the liquor in which the detached and ripened eggs were kept, and leading his charges to the work tables, actually showed them how this liquor was drawn off from the test tubes, how it was let out drop by drop onto the specially warm slides of the microscopes, how the eggs which it contained were inspected for abnormalities, counted and transferred to a porous receptacle. How? And he took them to watch the operation. This receptacle was immersed in a warm bouillon containing free-swimming spermatozoa, a minimum concentration of 100,000 per cubic centimeter. He insisted, and how after 10 minutes, the container was lifted out of the liquor and its contents re-examined. How, if any of the eggs remained unfertilized, it was again immersed, and if necessary, yet again. How the fertilized ova went back to the incubators. Jesus, the incubators, where the alphas and the betas remained until definitely bottled, while the gammas, deltas, and epsilons were brought out again after only 36 hours to undergo Bokanovsky's process. Bokanovsky's process, repeated the director, and the students underlined the words in their little notebooks. One egg, one embryo, one adult normality. But a Bokanovskified egg will bud, will proliferate, will divide from 8 to 96 buds, and every bud will grow into a perfectly formed embryo, and every embryo into a full-sized adult, making 96 human beings grow where only one grew before. Progress. See, in the book, if you read it, and I highly recommend you do, there was no sex, right? There's none of that. No activity between men and women. It was all in a jar. That's how they reproduced humans. Just asking the question. I mean, when all this shit comes true, if it does, I'm going to be dead. So you guys are going to have to deal with this crap. Quote, essentially, the DHC concluded, Bakanov consists of a series of arrests of development. We check the normal growth, and paradoxically enough, the egg responds by budding. Responds by budding. The pencils were busy. He pointed on a very slowly moving band, a rack of test tubes was entering a large metal box. Another rackful was emerging. Machinery faintly purred. It took 8 minutes for the tubes to go through, he told them. 8 minutes of, excuse me, 8 minutes of hard x-rays. Being about as much as an egg can stand, a few died. The rest, the least susceptible, divided into 2. Most put out 4 buds, some 8. All were returned to the incubators, where the buds began to develop. Then, after 2 days, were suddenly chilled and checked. 248. The buds, in their turn, budded, and having budded, were dosed almost to death with alcohol. Consequently, burgeoned again. And having budded, but see, he used to take acid. Were thereafter further arrests being generally fatal, left to develop in peace. By this time, the original egg was in a fair way to become anything from 8 to 96 embryos. A prodigious improvement, you agree, on nature. Identical twins, but not in piddling 2s and 3s, as in the old viviparous days. Well, we fucked. Yeah, that's what he meant. When an egg would sometimes accidentally divide, actually by dozens, by scores at a time. Scores, the director repeated and flung out his arms as though he were distributing largesse. Scores. But one of the students was fool enough to ask where the advantage lay. My good boy, the director wheeled sharply round on him. Can't you see? Can't you see? He raised a hand. His expression was solemn. Can't you see how effective something is? Why can't you see this? Why don't you agree Uncle Joe Biden should do this? Because can't you see? The bottom line of this passage in this book is there were alpha, gamma, delta, beta, blah, 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 blah. And the way they grew these humans is by restricting their vitamins, their minerals, their temperature, their water. And the reason they did this was to generate the ditch diggers, the low intellectuals, the medium working class, the slightly above working class, sort of pseudo intellectuals. And then there were, at the top, the chosen ones who got full vitamins and full heat, full water. Now, you tell me, am I often lost in space here? This thing might not be bad for us, right? Might be okay. We're going to die in a couple of years, or well, not a couple, hopefully in 2030. What about the next generation? What about the kids coming up? Do you think anyone would be interested if there were a way to make the future humans stupid? Anyone? If that'd be interesting to someone, interesting to our dear leaders. No one left to think that far ahead, to put together 1 and 2 and make it 4. Just drones. You think that would be advantageous to anyone? Just curious. James Maxwell, thanks for listening.